And what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Celluloid Psychosis. I'm your host, TJ Bowser, and joining me as always is the very handsome, very British, the king of Salisbury himself, Mr. Paul Ashford. What's up, buddy?
Hey man, I'm good. I'm good as always. Happy to be talking about this obscure film today,
Yes,
which
very
is your
obscure.
choice. But yeah, man, I've had a good week. Should we talk
Mhm.
about our weeks? Um,
Yes, talk about your week, buddy.
Working very, very hard. Lots of stuff going on at work. Nothing too exciting, just work, work, work. Um, I've been without my car all week. I've had car troubles, unfortunately, so I've been either training it to work or having to borrow my girlfriend's car. Very
Mhm.
kindly let me use it. Haven't been up to anything exciting really that I can think of in the past week. It's just been a lot of work. However, I did receive in the post my replica fish ghoulie from the first Ghoulies movie. I
Looks
got that from
fantastic.
JVF shop on Etsy. It's super cool. I've wanted one for ages. I pulled the trigger oh, November, December. It just takes a while
Mhm.
for him to make it and to ship it. It comes from Spain, and yeah, man, it's amazing. I love it. It's really, really cool. Um, also watched Captain Kronos, the Hammer
Mm.
Lovelier 4K box set. I finally got around to watching that. That turned up last week. Really good transfer, really good film as well. Even the girlfriend enjoyed it. So yeah, man, that's my week pretty much. How about yourself?
Man, just been really flat out at work. Been super, super busy over there. Had a really chill weekend. Got to hang out with my kids. Got to celebrate my youngest brother's son, who's coming. They had a baby shower for him. Uh, that was really cool. And then, yeah, just Sunday, I just watched a lot of TV. Caught up on that Madam Secretary show on Netflix. Really good. Don't know how I missed it the first time around, but I'm happy I'm catching it now. Watch some movies, watch this movie again. I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of TV movies, and I mean, there's some really good stuff if you dig deep enough. But speaking of that, let's talk about this week's film. And this
Yeah.
week's film is 1993's Donato and Daughter, also known as Dead to Rights, directed by Rod Halcombe, who also directed the Captain America movie. Yeah, the
TV
original,
movie.
not the one
It
everybody
was like the
knows. The
1979
first
TV
Avenger.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he also did the very last episode of ER. I
Oh,
read as well.
okay. Makes
I thought it
sense.
was cool to mention Captain America, the '79 version,
Well,
which
the
I've never seen.
DP also worked on ER and did 107 episodes of The West Wing and then a whole
Okay.
bunch of other things.
Yeah.
Really well known DP, really good work, and it's very
Hmm.
prevalent here. This guy's really good with the camera, and they really make full use of the sets. But anyway, written by Robert Roy Poole, who also wrote Outbreak and the classic Armageddon that makes no
Hmm.
sense. Starring Charles Bronson as Mike Donato. This is an older Charles Bronson here.
Hmm.
Definitely not as gun clad as he was in, let's say, the Death Wish films. Some violence there, but definitely more wholesome. Dana
Yep.
Delaney as Delana Donato. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
she's gorgeous. Absolutely fantastic. As my daughter says, she has the shiniest red hair I've ever seen. Xander Berkeley as Russ Loring.
Hmm.
God damn. Creepy guy. Jeanette Goldstein as Detective Judy McCartney. You may know her as Vasquez from Aliens
Hmm.
or John Connor's mom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Luis Gambalvo as Chief Hugh Holliday. Mark Alamo as
Yeah.
Detective Petsky. And Tom Verica as Bobby Keegan.
Hmm.
Lots of TV actors up in here. Lots of movie actors. Just really, really good cast
Yeah.
overall. Paul, read that short but sweet plot synopsis.
Short and sweet. A man and his daughter, who are police officers, have had a disagreeable relationship for a long time. But they set aside the differences to nab a serial killer who is hell bent on victimizing nuns.
Okay.
So, nunsploitation, right?
Yes. So this movie debuted, I want to say, CBS in 1993.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh, it's pretty violent for a TV movie, in my
TV.
opinion. There's some lot of dark visuals.
Mm-hmm.
The way I expressed this movie to Paul yesterday is it's like a dark melancholy. Like
Yeah.
the film overall has this melancholy feel to it. But then
Mm.
into some really dark subject matter. There's a pregnant officer that dies, and they make it a point about the whole dead baby thing.
Yeah.
Like there's within the first 30 minutes, two nuns are raped and murdered. A pregnant officer is killed
Hmm.
and her baby. It is just absolutely full on. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a TV movie, but it doesn't hold back. I mean, there's even a visual where you see the dead nun right off the bat, maybe in the first 10 minutes of the movie, kind of like laying there. She's covered in blood and she's like partially stripped. I mean, they don't show anything, but the visuals tastefully shot so it can be on TV. And it's just,
Yeah.
yes, Mike Donato and Charles Bronson. Mike Donato is Charles Bronson.
Hmm.
That character has some dialogue that, yeah, it's kind of funny. But like it's fucking Charles Bronson. I mean, I'm gonna giggle. I'm in that
Yeah.
rooftop scene with the developmentally delayed dude with the
Yeah.
bird. That whole scene is just hilarious to watch.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
That's my
yeah,
favorite scene.
it's questionable some of the stuff he says, but at the same time, come on, it's fucking hilarious. Who
Yeah.
writes this shit? But I think overall, as like a serial killer nunsploitation movie, it's very, very well done.
Yeah.
Especially with what they had to do, like the sets they had and like the budget they had is really, really well done. I think it's yeah, you could tell it a TV movie at the same time. I mean, it kind of works really well. Paul, feelings?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I'd agree with you. It's funny how you mentioned it's quite full on.
Mhm.
However, you don't see there's no real gore in this film, is there? It's all suggested or it's already taken
The
place.
only violence you see that is direct is when you see him stabbing his wife at the end.
Yeah, so he's a serial killer, but you only see him kill or attempt to kill one person,
Hmm.
which is his wife towards the end. Although there is the gunshot that kills Vasquez
Hmm.
as well, who I completely did not recognize. She looks nothing like she did in Aliens. But I guess Aliens, she had the hair done up and she's had the big headband on.
I think she
Yeah,
was leaner and more muscular for that role, and that would have
yeah,
been in the 80s. So this is quite a
yeah. That was
years
what 86
later.
was it 86? So this was 93. So
Yeah,
it was 7, 8 years later. I think they're saying that this would have been around the time of Terminator. What Terminator was 92? Terminator
yeah.
2
But it
was like
shows the actress's range. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Um, it's funny that you say about the first scene, and you see like the bloodied body of the nun.
Hmm.
It's quite a dark graphics, suggestion scene. And you see the bits, and then Charles Bronson comes in. And he's like, "Where was a god when this happened?" This is one of his little.
Constant one-liners throughout this entire movie.
Yeah,
He's so on
yeah.
point for being Bronson. It's great.
So I'd never heard of this film at all.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, I know Charles Bronson, obviously.
Yes.
Well, I say obviously, I haven't seen many of his films. Um, I've seen a handful that you've directed me towards,
Hmm.
and obviously I know of his work. But yeah, this one is obviously it's a TV movie. I did read that it's originally a TV pilot or a TV show pilot, which has
I
failed.
believe it. It feels like an extended like TV show. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Episode.
like an extended episode of
I
like
would have loved it.
a
This was
cop show.
actually his fifth to last movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I read that he was battling some health issues at the time
Hmm.
of this film as well,
Hmm.
um,
He
and
actually
yeah,
did the
so,
last Death Wish movie right after this, the year
yeah.
after.
Hmm. So it's kind of winding down his career, I guess, but he's still great. I think he was really good in it. Just got some real hilarious one-liners. And you mentioned that rooftop scene. It's just a scene where they're quizzing, trying to find info, and it's yeah, they're interviewing this guy. He's the brother
Oh
of one of
my
the nuns that's been
god!
killed,
Yes.
and it's just like changes the tone. It's like, what's this? What's going on? And he's like getting really angry with this guy. The guy's obviously a bit not all there,
Yeah.
a bit eccentric, and it's just hilarious the back and forth between the two of them on top of a rooftop. This guy's trying to feed his pigeons or whatever birds they are on top of the roof, and the guy's like playing super dumb, and it's just like, yeah, real weird. And also that again, another great line right at the start. So yeah, you've got Bronson going, "Where was a god when this happened?"
Mhm.
And then uh, Dina, I think her name is Dina,
Mhm.
is his daughter.
Dana.
Dina, yeah. She's like when they're looking at the body of the nun, the cop comes in and goes, "Oh, we've found someone next door. she's a sister. And she goes, "Oh, she's got a sister." He goes, "No, she's a sister."
Sister.
Yeah. And that's when they first find out it was a nun.
Yeah.
There's just so many weird, funny little lines in this movie. But that rooftop scene was just, what is going on?
Right?
Like, and obviously we talk about rooftop scenes. Like, you can't talk about it in the movie, but there's a brilliant rooftop scene at the end of the movie as well. But it's just that one scene of the crazy guy and Bronson on the roof. Um, yeah. So I watched this film and I was like, what's TJ making me watch to start with? I think I said to you, it's the most TV
Movie
movie
you've ever
style
seen.
TV
Yeah.
movie I've ever seen, and it's very American. It's very cop. Well, I say buddy cop movie, but it's also like daughter and
The
father.
the dynamic between the father and daughter is really cool, and it's something that's not
Yeah.
relevant in other Charles Bronson movies.
Hmm.
Like this really wholesome father-daughter connection. Normally, when you see Charles Bronson, he's getting revenge for the death of somebody. You don't get
Yeah.
a lot of meet this character, fall in love with this character. So if something
Hmm.
bad happens to them, then like the revenge kind of like really makes sense. Not really makes sense, but kind of like
Yeah.
affects the viewer. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
in this film, you kind of see that dynamic and you see that relationship that's tattered and torn from years and years of how do you want to say, I don't know, the
Well,
job taking a toll on the relationship.
it's the death of her brother, isn't it? His son,
Yeah. Well,
which is never
Tommy.
meant. Yeah, Tommy. That's it. It was a spoiler alert. But yeah, all through the film, I think that you find out that's how
It's
the
a side
relationship
effect
is
of the
soured.
job, essentially. And
Yeah, and it's
yeah,
also even Bronson's what he's got his marriages on the rocks as well.
yes.
He has a bit, there's some to and fro with his wife, and she said, "Oh, if you want to save him, we need to change things. Let's take some
Mhm,
time to talk." And you can just tell their marriage is on the rocks, and it all stems from Tommy.
mhm,
Um, not even his wife knows what happened to Tommy, so it's like a big mystery. So you've got the mystery of trying to find the serial killer,
mhm.
but also there's a mystery of what's going on with this family, with Bronson, his daughter, and his wife.
Yeah.
They're all like very at each other's throats. So yeah, kind of for him to come in, and also you find out he was higher ranking in the police force at one point, and he got demoted.
Yes, because of after Tommy died, he found
Yeah,
out who Tommy called, right?
that's right.
Or
Yeah, if he essentially found out
yeah, he found
who to
out and beat
blame
him
for the
up.
cause of his death, and well, like you say, he did his Charles Bronson revenge. Well, again, you don't see it or anything; you
No.
just hear him talk about it. Um, so yeah, it's a very, very, very TV, very 90s, which is
Mhm.
great. I don't mind. I love the sort of retro feel.
The
Um,
music was awesome. It was kind of it reminded me of Manhunter, Michael Mann's
mhm,
Manhunter. The music, just
yeah.
because that synth wave feel to it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, very talky. It's just it's very character driven. There's just like
Mhm.
this whole. It's not just Bronson and his daughter. There's like
There's
they've got a whole
violence.
group.
There's scenes of like shooting and stuff, but like you
Yeah.
said, there's a lot of exposition and
Hmm.
dialogue exchange going on
It's got
with
the
our main
normal sort of
characters.
tropes. There's the scene with I call her Vasquez, but it's not, is it? It's whatever her name is. Where she reveals to Dina that she's pregnant and they're
Mhm,
going to get married. As soon as she says that, I was like, okay, you're going to die in this film. You know, it's just you see it in every film whenever there's like a war film and the character's like, oh yeah, these are my kids and wife back home. You just know that person's going to die in the movie. And sure enough, spoiler alert, she reveals she's secretly pregnant. She's going to get married, and then minutes later, she is shot dead by a suspect, not the actual killer as we find out, but just a suspect. And
Did you
that
mention
scene.
this movie's based on a book by Jack Early?
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah,
mention that at the start, did
yeah,
we? Yeah, and I haven't read that book, obviously, but yeah, it's
yeah.
actually based on a book, and I think from what I read as well, it's based on the book, but they added the character of his daughter,
Mhm.
or they added the character of his daughter after they realised it wasn't going to be a TV show, and they said that maybe that's why it just turned into a TV movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, that
Oh,
whole
did
scene.
you recognize that Mark Alamiano guy? Alamo guy? He's in the Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He's the Cardassian asshole dude.
Ah, okay, yeah, so he's like the guy with the sort of is that the guy with the sort of
Yeah, but he's, like, mean the
face?
whole time, like,
With a
to
ponytail.
everybody.
Yeah, he's like the ponytail
Yes, yes, he's
guy.
that
Yeah, yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's got like the sort of his face has got like not scars, but like marks all over it.
Mm-hmm.
I did recognize him for something. One other person I did recognize as well is uh, so Russ Loring's mother. You know, the real evil
Gul
woman.
Dukat. That's who he plays in Deep Space Nine.
Right.
Sorry.
Russ Loring, who, as we find out, is the serial killer in the movie.
Yes.
His mother. They interview his mother at one point, and obviously Bronson is warned.
Totally enabled the behavior.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god.
Bronson's warned at one point that, oh yeah, she's a real piece of work by someone
Mhm.
else, and yeah, she's a complete psycho. But I recognised it instantly. She is the mother from the start of The Frighteners. You ever seen Peter Jackson's The Frighteners? She is the woman at the start of the film who's
Oh,
got.
okay.
She is the woman with the shotgun. She's holding a daughter hostage. Her daughter is E.T.'s mum. What's her
Oh,
name?
okay.
Critters.
D.
Uh,
Wallace.
Dee Wallace. Yeah, Dee Wallace is the daughter at the start of the film, and she's like the evil mum. She knows that the serial killer spirit is in the house. Do you remember? So she's like the evil woman, like holding the daughter hostage. I recognise her
Okay.
straight away because Frighteners is one of my favourite films. And I think I read she was in Starship Troopers as well, but I cannot picture who she was in Starship Troopers. But yeah, it's cool to see her pop up in this. And it
Yeah.
was a pretty psychotic role she had, completely defending her son's actions,
Mhm.
suggesting that her son also killed her husband as
Yeah.
well. Or saying all this to a cop as well. And
It's a
he
good
just,
serial killer story. Like you wouldn't think like it'd be like an actually good story, but like there's
yeah.
actually a good like cat and mouse game
Hmm.
between Donato's well Dana Donato
Yeah.
and the killer
Hmm.
because she does this thing in the movie where she kind of insults him right off the bat publicly,
Yeah.
which leads to the trope of the killer calling the cop directly.
Yeah.
But which is really cool to begin with. My daughter's like, "Oh, look, it's Scream," and I was like, "No, it's not Scream." But I
Yeah.
like that whole thing, and they kind of like they like did that like they kind of like he tows her along, and then
Yeah.
there's really this creepy scene where she's at her house and he's
Hmm.
like watching her from outside, which
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
is like Michael Mann's Manhunter, but like
Hmm.
it's just really creepy, and you're
Hmm.
like, is he gonna kill hers? And then no, he kills somebody in his fucking own apartment building
Apartment. Yeah.
and just leaves them there. And then when the cops come to like interrogate him, he's like, "Who would kill them in the elevator and just leave it there in their own apartment?" Which
Not me.
kind of is just like foreshadowing because then whenever Bronson's talking to the other cops, he's like, "It's
Yeah.
not the other guy." And he's like, "How do you know?" He's like, "The other guy wasn't so specific of where she was murdered at." And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
dun dun dun. Yeah, it's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's ever explained because he cuts the fingers off, doesn't he, of the or one finger off of the
He keeps
victim.
them in a jar in that
Yeah.
locker.
Hmm. And obviously, at one point, he mails one to her son as well, doesn't he?
We haven't even touched. Like the kinder trauma moment
Yeah.
is whenever their freaking son opens a box and it's a human finger of one of the nuns.
Yep.
What is going on?
She traumatizes him, and the son as well. There's the weird introduction to the son.
Mhm.
Well, it's Charles Bronson's grandson. It's just him throwing a pot of paint onto the wall. Do you remember at the start of the film? And they just look back. Oh yeah, it's great. It looks
And
really
he
good.
kills these nuns and they all kind of look the same. And I think the only
Yeah.
reason we get is not because he like hates Christianity or anything. I think
Hmm.
he views these nuns as unclean or not
Yeah.
worthy of the position somehow.
Hmm.
That's how
Yeah.
I took it, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah. You're really bizarre. Because there's a scene when all the detectives are trying to figure out, and they look at all the photos, don't they? And they're like, oh,
Mhm.
they all look the same. They've all got similar. Are they from the same family or something like that? So yeah, he just likes killing nuns for some reason. Obviously, he's hiding it from his wife. He's got a wife, um, and it's not until towards the end of the film she realizes that he's the killer because he goes back to his room when Charles Bronson's rumbled him to find the police officer outfit that he was using to murder the last nun in the movie,
Mm.
and he can't find it. Then he's scrambling through all his drawers and through the cupboard, and then his wife stands behind him. Are you looking for this? And she's got like the police officer uniform in her hand. Which leads to the only time we actually see him
Yeah, kill
get a
somebody.
weapon and kill someone. Although Spoiler alert, he doesn't actually kill her, does he? She's still
No.
alive. Yeah, she's on the floor bleeding. You think she's dead. Um, and then, yeah, Bronson and his daughter are racing to that apartment so they can arrest him. And then she gets there first, doesn't she? And she pretends that they found the suspect, and she
Yeah.
basically gets into his house, and he obviously fancies her all through the film. You know, he likes her because he's been
Mhm.
eyeing her up, saying weird stuff to her on the phone, etc. And she's delaying it as much as she can while Bronson and the rest are racing to the scene, which is also a cool scene as well, because that's when you realise that his wife is actually still alive a bit, and she starts moving a bit on the floor. Then she manages enough to kick the door a bit,
Mhm.
so Dina realizes what's going on, and then it all kicks off. Uh, he gets kidnapped, and then we get a dramatic final scene. Do you want to talk about the final scene again on the
Yeah.
rooftop? So, and it's quite fun actually. So the killer has kidnapped Bronson's daughter,
Yes.
or should I say Mike's daughter? Um, and literally, Mike bursts in, and the killer's got her by the throat with a knife or a gun. He's got a gun to her head, essentially, hasn't he? And he's like, "Whoa, don't you do anything stupid." Just the way Bronson said it. It's like he's seen his daughter and a gun. It's so funny how he comes out with these little one-liners. Um, and obviously he's like demanding a helicopter to the rooftop so he can escape with a daughter. And he's saying, here's another one-liner which I can't quite remember, but he's suggesting that if he tries to shoot him, he's going to jump off the top of the building with his daughter.
Mhm.
He's like, if I go, she goes too, or something like that. And he shoots someone as well, doesn't he? He shoots another member of the team. Who I forget it was, but in the from there going there to escape into the rooftop, he
Mhm.
manages to shoot
Did you
another.
know Charles Bronson was born only an hour and a half away from me?
I did not.
Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
The more
is he
you know.
is he
Keep going.
is he buried near you?
No, Los Angeles, of course.
Okay. Yeah, I guess he moved there, did he?
He is a veteran, for those who don't know.
Ah, I
He
didn't know.
fought in World War II for the 39th Bombardment Group.
Yeah.
Pretty
Mm,
cool.
very interesting. So yeah, we all leads up to this great rooftop scene.
Mhm.
It's a bit like a video game. He's demanding a helicopter. Um, and he's stood on the edge of the building, not a gun to their daughter's head, and he's literally waiting for the helicopter to come down to take him away. But little do we know that Charles Bronson has talked to the helicopter driver beforehand. He's told him, "Do exactly as I say." And rather than coming down out of the sky, he essentially comes up from the bottom of the building. Then he makes the
Yeah.
guy jump, and he's
Scares
like,
the
"Oh,
shit out of him with a
scares
freaking
out of him."
helicopter.
Obviously, he drops his gun or momentarily lets go of Dina, and that's it. Bronson gets his gun out, bang, 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 shoots the guy, 3 or 4 times. And then there he goes. He's off the edge of the building and he's dead.
Twice in the chest, 3 in the gut.
Oh, you counted, did you?
I did.
uh, and sure enough, daughter and Bronson make up. And
Donato and daughter makeup.
yeah, Donato and daughter make up. And we get this. The pan and out shot I thought was really strange because is it in a helicopter? I'm guessing. I guess it's before
Yeah,
Triangle.
so essentially it zooms out and then it just stays there while the credits go.
Yeah, but it's like real. It's real shaky as well. It's like real
Yeah.
shaky. I guess we're used to like you know drones and
Yeah,
stuff
not
nowadays.
TV movie footage of
Yeah,
credits to just run over.
exactly. Yeah, but the most amazing saxophone tune
Oh my god, it
blasting
hits you.
on. It's like sax guy from Lost Boys. Yeah, it just goes on and on for all the credits. It's like real, like wow, real. That's full on like TV movie
You know what one of my
material.
favorite sets in the movie is? So I'll know you'll know what I'm talking about. It's when
Mm-hmm.
they're in that giant square room, but the room is like 3 or 4 stories and it's all connected by interior stairwells.
Yeah, yeah.
So you
Mm-hmm.
see Dana and the killer interacting there at one point, and
Mm-hmm.
she goes down and he goes up. But the way the camera swoops in and out of those
Yeah.
stairwells, and then
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's so good! Ah,
Is
I
that not
love
the,
it.
is that not the scene with the guy that shoots the pregnant lady? Because that's like an apartment they break into and it's all covered
That's
in
whenever they're on the
graffiti.
roof the first time.
Yeah,
That
so
is whenever they go into the wrong. They go
yeah,
after the wrong suspect, and
yeah,
he runs up the fire escape.
that's right. And if it's like the building's covered in graffiti, there's like graffiti
Yeah,
all over the walls and every room they go in, and they're using the fire exits or fire stairs up the sides of the building and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of sort of not double crosses. A lot of is it this guy? Is it that guy? Because there's several suspects. There's that weird guy
But
they
we do
interview.
have that thing where we see the killer's point of view and the killer's life randomly throughout the film. Like when he's
Yeah.
shaving and he cuts himself
Hmm.
in the mirror because he's
Yeah.
watching himself on TV. You know what I mean? Like, while watching the press conference about himself on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then another really, really, really good shot is him silhouetted, and then like the city's in the background.
Yeah. 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 And he cuts from
Yeah,
behind, isn't it? Yeah, that looks really cool.
so good. He's on
You
the
can't
phone,
make
right?
out who it is. Yeah, that's still before we don't know who he is. So he's
Mhm.
trying to make out who he is. Um, and the scene where he's dressed up as a policeman, I don't think at that point I don't think we know that
Yeah,
he's.
yeah, we know who he is.
We
We
know who he is
just
by then,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because he obviously walks out and he
Well,
walks the nun home.
he originally disguises himself as a nun to kill
Yeah,
the nuns, and then whenever the cops start protecting the nuns, he dresses as a cop so the
that's right.
nuns will trust him, and he starts murdering the nuns that
Yeah,
way.
yes, again. That's that scene where
But we never
Bronson
get to
is
see him as the nun.
no, but Bronson's talking to the crazy nun. Is there a crazy nun? She's like the crazy
Yeah,
lady in the
he's
interview.
at the nunnery. Uh,
Yeah, she's like they walk up and she's like just been injecting something to her arm, hasn't she? And she like
yeah,
rolls her sleeve back down and she's like shaky and stuff. And she's like, all I know is she was really tall for a nun. He's like, really tall
yeah.
for a nun? He's like,
Because he
yeah, yeah,
goes into that what I call the nunnery, or whatever the hell you want to call it,
yeah,
halfway house, and there's a bunch of kids and stuff running around. Not kids, but like teenagers, like
yeah,
juvenile types walking
mhm,
around and stuff. And you're really like, oh shit, this is like the real inner city sort of thing.
mhm,
And like you said, like the nuns aren't even like the best. And I think, like we said, why is he killing the nuns? Because they aren't fit in his mind
yeah,
for that job, or to be a child of God, or whatever the hell that is.
mhm,
Uh it's definitely out of the time where the nunsploitation craze was going crazy. So
yeah.
somebody was like, "This is a great idea." Uh,
It's bizarre. He goes, yeah, she goes, yeah, she was really tall for a nun. And he's like, really tall for a nun? Don't you mean really tall for a woman? And it's like it's like when he's like thinking, hey, maybe it wasn't a woman all along, maybe it was a
the
man.
dialogue's very on the nose, and it
Yeah, yeah.
allows you to laugh in some very
Hmm.
harsh moments, just
Yeah, yeah.
because of Bronson's delivery, coupled with
Yeah.
the writing, really just gives some fun, like some
Yeah, yeah. I
really
mean,
unique,
he
funny
goes
moments.
almost full on comedian when they're interviewing the brother of the nun that's just been killed, the crazy
Mhm.
guy with his pigeons on the roof. It's just crazy that the interaction between the two, and
He's
then
screaming at him.
yeah, yeah. The guy's like, he's like, don't, he goes like something like, don't leave town because we need
Where
to
would I
know. He's
go?
like, yeah, where would I go? And then he thinks he's asking for directions to the police station. He's like shouting directions. He's like, no, no, I don't mean that. Where would I go? Yeah,
Oh, it's
it's just
good
so
stuff.
weird, so weird. Such a weird, funny scene. Um, but yeah, it's for me. I haven't seen many Charles Bronson films,
Mhm.
so I really enjoyed this one. Really enjoyed it. Very, very TV movie.
I like
Very,
seeing him have a connection with, his family other than
yeah.
just revenge. It's
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, he's quite sort of laid back in this one. It's not
Mhm.
the all out punching and
His
fighting and
last
stuff.
3 movies, the Family of Cops series, that are also
Yeah.
TV movies, they're also kind of like this.
Hmm. Okay. But I really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy it. It's very looks like a TV movie. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw like a Blu-ray.
Yeah, there's a
Of
German
it.
Blu-ray of it, but it's still locked at a 4:3 aspect ratio, which makes us
Yeah.
assume that it was filmed directly for television,
Mhm. Mhm.
but it's really, really clean. So
Yeah.
maybe there's like a 35, or what is it?
One
Uh
135. Yeah. I can't imagine. I imagine they filmed it for TV, so it's just gonna be for free
There
forever.
might be a negative out there somewhere of it. I
Maybe,
don't
yeah.
know.
Thing is, no one talks about this film. Like, I looked online. There's really not much going on about it.
Mhm. Or the Family
Yes.
of Cop films. I'd love to see like a Charles Bronson TV movie box set
Yeah.
released either like by Imprint, Umbrella, or even like Vinegar Syndrome or something
I
like
bet
that.
you it'll come out in Germany or something. Germany seem
Yeah.
to really like Charles Bronson. It's
He's
just
like
funny.
Hasselhoff, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
love the uber machismo type.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Celtic guns.
it's got the look and feel of a TV movie,
Mhm.
definitely. It's all like I don't want to say grey, but the colouring is very real.
Mhm.
It hasn't got that sort of shine that like a movie has.
Hyper, yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Over
yeah, yes,
stylized or anything.
yeah, yeah.
It's rooted in reality, hyper realistic, I would
I
say.
don't think it's been shown much outside of when it was broadcast on TV.
No.
No, no. I mean, weirdly, on I don't know if you looked on YouTube. But on YouTube, someone has uploaded like the adverts from
Yeah, they're really
in
cool.
between when it was shown on TV, like in the 90s. It's just like, yeah,
And it's
really
just the
bizarre.
adverts. No, it's the whole movie, but it's with the adverts, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it's in fast forward for some reason. I don't know why, unless my app was
Nope,
playing it.
that's how it is.
Yeah, I guess you got. I guess on YouTube you can play stuff at a slower speed. So I don't know. Maybe
Yes.
they've done it for that reason. But yeah, it's cool. It's just a film that's, we talked last 2 weeks ago about a film that was lost, but this one's even more lost, I would say, because this one I don't think it's even had a DVD release apart from
No, not a lot of
Germany.
TV movie love.
Yeah, yeah. So which is a shame. Um, it deserves to be out there more.
Yes, I
Maybe
agree.
we just continue doing a series of films that haven't had a solid release.
Yeah.
They could go on forever though.
It's true,
Yeah.
and it's the sad state of things.
Hmm.
CBS really doesn't do a lot to restore or bring back any of the stuff in their
No,
library. I mean, we get the Twin Peaks and the Twin Peaks. That's CBS, right? Paramount.
I
Yeah.
don't know. We don't have CBS over here. I just read about it. Is CBS the same as CBS Fox? Is that part of the same? Because obviously you used to have CBS Fox Home Video, and
I thought it was
CBS
part
Fox
of
did Star
Showtime. I
Wars.
thought it was Paramount.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't
I'm just
know.
a small town bird lawyer. I don't know
Yeah.
anything.
Hmm.
Uh, can't tell by the jacket.
Just a small
Anyway.
town girl.
So you have said you haven't seen a lot of Charles Bronson movies. As
I
far as Charles
haven't.
Bronson movies, I wouldn't say it's up there for me because I'm a big Death Wish guy,
Hmm.
but it's definitely up there in my top 10 of
Hmm.
Charles Bronson just because of how unique it is, and then
Yeah.
the way that Bronson kind of portrays his character. He's definitely more subdued than he is in his other films. He's not waving
Yeah.
the gun constantly, even though he still has a gun and he's
Hmm.
still blasting suckers away. But it's just not as frequent as, let's say, the Death Wish, or as hyper violent as Death Wish 3.
Hmm.
Uh, there's other films like this. Murphy's Law. It's kind of like that too. Uh,
I watched that one, didn't I? Murphy's Law. That's the one you
I think
advised me to watch.
there's
Which one
also
was it?
another one. What the hell is it called? Messenger of Death. It's Charles Bronson versus Mormons with a shotgun. Really cool. Uh, then there's this like
Okay.
Kinjite Forbidden Subjects movie where he like
Mhm,
goes against like this mob people for like stealing this Japanese girl.
mhm.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's just more Bronson blasting dudes away, you know. I mean, but this film kind of like doesn't have that to that degree that those
Yeah,
other
yeah.
films that I just mentioned
Oh,
were.
weirdly, I always remember my introduction to Charles Bronson. There, there's a film that came out in the UK. I think it's got a different title in America, but in the UK it was called Spaceship the Movie, and it was like a sci-fi parody film. It had Leslie Nielsen in it.
Huh.
I think in America it's got some really weird title like the alien that ate. I don't know. It's got a weird title, but it's got Leslie Nielsen in it. It's called Spaceship the Movie in the UK, and I watched it on VHS as a little kid. And there's a scene in there where they're watching TV on a spaceship,
Yeah.
and it's a parody of a Charles Bronson Death Wish film. And it's some bloke playing Charles Bronson. I remember watching it. I remember my dad came into the room as I was watching this bit, and it made it look like it was like a Charles Bronson film. My dad was like, "Are you old enough to be watching this?"
Yeah.
He didn't realize it was like a PG rated sci-fi film. It just cut to some cheesy trailers, some like knockoff. But yeah, it was a Charles Bronson parody
Mhm.
scene. I'll have to dig it out for you and find it. But that was the first thing I knew. Oh yeah, that's Charles Bronson. Just knew by the moustache and the way the
Oh,
guy's
I
acting.
forgot to mention that Dana voices Lois Lane in all the like 90s and 2000s DC animated stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dana Delaney, I always remember from the movie Exit to Eden,
Oh,
from which
okay.
came out after this actually. That was Dan Aykroyd and Rosie O'Donnell. Don't know
Oh.
if you ever saw that, but I remember when it came out in the UK, it was a bit of controversy around it. It's just a movie about it's got like uh, BDSM vibes and stuff to it. It's like an island of like, yeah,
Mm.
it's a bit strange, but it's a comedy. I know it completely bombed when it came out,
Mhm.
so it kind of got buried on VHS. But I remember people talking about it. So yeah, that's
Our serial killer was in Terminator 2?
was he as well, as well as Vasquez.
Mhm.
That's interesting. Ooh. They weren't like an item or anything, and
He's
they managed
also in
to get
Deadly Dreams,
Deadly Dreams. Which one's that?
the 1988. Is it a slasher film?
I keep thinking Bad Dreams. No,
No.
not Dream
I
Demon.
want to say that this Deadly Dreams just got a Blu-ray release not too long ago.
On Vinegar Syndrome.
No, maybe it might be Vinegar Syndrome. I
Mhm.
ain't even kidding, dude. Like, no cap, as the kids would say.
Yeah,
I'm looking it up right
it
now.
sounds like a Vinegar Syndrome film.
It definitely sounds like a Vinegar Syndrome. I'm gonna look it up on
Yeah, yeah.
Blu-ray.com.
Do it, do it.
So, what would you rate this movie, Paul?
Out of 5, can I say a solid 3?
Okay, and it was Code Red that did the Blu-ray.
Okay, that's close enough.
RoninFlix.com.
I would say a solid 3. That almost sounds a bit harsh. I'd
No,
say
3 out of 5. It's a
3
TV
out of 5.
movie.
That's
We're
good.
not
Yeah,
expecting, like I said, Michael Mann's Manhunter or anything like that.
yeah.
But it's a solid TV movie with Charles Bronson acted like
Yeah.
Charles Bronson.
Mhm. Just yeah. It's just a shame that it's not that no one knows about it.
Mhm.
Yeah. How would you rate it?
Probably about 3 out of 5, maybe a 3.5 out of 5. But I'll
Mhm.
probably agree with you. Just to round things up, 3 out of 5. We're gonna
Yeah.
rate Donato and Daughter from 1993, also known as Dead to Rights. We might do more Bronson films just so we can educate Paul in all things
Mhm.
that is Charles Bronson. I mean, he has a thick filmography, and I own probably a dozen or more Bronson films on Blu-ray. He's definitely one of my favorites, or as my daughter calls him, that old guy with a gun. Love it. Love all that stuff. And I loved watching this movie, and I'm happy that
Mhm.
you enjoyed it as much as I
I
did.
did. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
It's,
Yeah. It's
and
cool
I
to unearth stuff I've never heard of.
and I agree. We should definitely try to continue to do things that are less spoken about, less
Mhm.
easier to watch. I'd say. I mean, we don't want to go too far. Like we said, you can go watch this on YouTube if you want. It's not
Mhm.
the best quality, but you can
No.
still see it. And we'll kind of try
Yeah.
to continue the streak. Maybe because then that will lead to some of these labels hearing this and then picking them up for
Yeah.
future things. I mean, look, Skater Cop 1 and 2 got a 4K release, so miracles can happen.
Mhm.
Uh, I love those movies. We should probably do those.
Yeah.
They're so good. The whole series, the whole Scanner series
Oh
is
yeah.
so
Big
good.
Ghoulies link as well, right?
Is there?
I
Oh, for the
think
second one?
both of them. I think I think
Scanner
it's
Cop 1.
Scanner Cop is got Luca
Ah,
in
yes.
it, and then Scanner Cop 2 has got Who's Go to College. Oh my god, I forgot his name. I put myself on the spot. Evan McKenzie,
Ah,
Evan
there you
McKenzie,
go.
the main guy from Who's Go to College. I believe he's in Scanner Cop 2. Yeah, so there you go.
Good shit indeed. Those do have a
Mhm.
Vinegar Syndrome release, by the way. Anyway, uh, thank you, Paul, for
Yeah,
joining
thank
me on
you.
this week's review.
Mhm,
It was a doozy, and we'll be back with physical media news next week. We haven't got a lot of news over the last couple days,
mhm.
but I know that we've been
Oscar nominations, haven't
tomorrow.
we?
We'll be getting updates from the documentary I co-produced, Hearts of Darkness: The Making of the Final Friday, and I'm actually in that documentary as well.
Nice.
You see me being a weirdo and yelling on screen. Hopefully, we show the trailer soon so I can share it with all you cool cats out there. I believe I'm in the trailer screaming as well. That's how things should be.
Mhm.
But if you like this podcast and want to hear other ones just like this, head on over to www.projectlouder.net, and you can find us on all audio only platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, Amazon,
MySpace. MySpace.
MySpace, uh, TikTok. No, we're not on those last two. We don't do any of those things. But we do. We are consistent. And we are here
Oh,
every
yeah.
Tuesday at the same bat time, same bat channel. I'm your host, TJ Bowser. That's Paul Ashford. He's handsome, and I'll
Hmm.
see you guys
Thank
next
you.
week.